Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Brothers Take podcast. I am Chris. I am joined once again by my brothers, Adam
Hello.
and Eric.
Hello.
We are back in the room to talk more gaming and, of course, give our spoiler-filled thoughts on the next or latest, or actually before latest episode of The Last of Us, episode 7, titled Left Behind. If you've been following the podcast, then you know by now that we are always playing catch-up and that we talk about the episode a week after it is out and give our full spoiler-filled thoughts on it, so we hope you have seen it. But that spoiler-filled talk will be in the latter half of this episode, and before we get to that, we will be talking about a bunch of gaming topics too, and we'll have everything timestamped in the description so you can check out yourself the various chapters, discussion points, and see which one captures your eye the most. So if you guys watch this YouTube, make sure you jump down into the comments to share your own thoughts on everything we bring up in this week's episode. And if you enjoyed the discussion, want to give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring that notification bell for all future content. And to those of you who are listening to us on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take, again, to give you your take on everything that we bring up in this week's episode. But without further ado, let's kick right into it. Okay, so following on from last week, we were talking about the state of play, and we were talking about Resident Evil 4, which was one of the big highlights of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the week that followed, there have been some footage shared with different media outlets of B-roll from the game. I don't know if any of you guys have checked any of that out, but Capcom have also since said that there will be a showcase this week on Thursday, the 9th of March, which means you can fucking bet your ass that that's when the demo drops. The demo will drop this week. They haven't said that, but it lines up. Because how much longer do you leave that till the game is actually out, which is the end of this month anyway? So the demo is coming this week, basically. What do we think the demo is going to be?
Tasty. Really good.
That is not what I expected.
On next-gen consoles.
Yeah. Yeah. What do we think the demo is going to be?
Quite large. At least
so many
10 gigabytes.
This takes me back to when, early on in the podcast, where, if I was to say, Eric, what was your favorite, blah, 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 and I'd be like, oh, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
You have to dissect the question first. There's, multiple ways that could go. Do you mean my favorite, or do you mean, your favorite?
Or do you mean, the meaning of favorite that could be applied to favorites? I think the demo will be the village. I think it makes the most sense.
I think it makes the most sense too. Yeah.
And it will end with, where's everybody gone? Bingo.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah,
right?
maybe.
I think so.
Maybe. You know what? So. It'll probably just be he jumps out the window. I know it's different in this one, but that essential tech encounter, and then the chainsaw dude will appear, and then it's over. That's it. You just got one Ganado.
What? No.
One Ganado.
Get the fuck out of here.
Likely.
Two.
It might be the castle, though. It might actually be the castle.
So?
Just because of the amount of shit that they've shown for that. And I'm wondering...
Yeah.
Could they do that because they want to keep the opening sequence of the game a surprise? Without ruining it?
I feel like the opening is going to be largely faithful, and a lot of the surprises come later, though.
I would think the other way around.
I'd say what they're going to do for the demo.
Yeah.
They might really throw a spanner in the works.
Do too.
Have you in the village. Ooh, do too. But have it in the village set just after that big fight. And when you get to explore, and then you get to fight a few Ganados as you're exploring through the village.
Oh, possibly to get an actual feel for because I think running of the game.
Yeah, because the start of it is it's a really good start.
It's cinematic, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not it doesn't give you that sense of exploration or puzzle solving or anything like that.
Does that take you up to the house then? With the big cheese and Ada.
Big cheese.
Is that bit from after the bingo moment, and then is that where that's? It's been a fucking while since
Anyone who hasn't played the game without context, just so you know, they don't actually start playing bingo and then he goes looking for a big wheel of cheese.
Yeah, and then then you collect the chicken eggs after they lay them.
Remember that?
Do you remember that? Or does that take us to the lake? I can't remember actually.
No,
what comes
no, no,
after
no, no,
that.
no, no. So
You
after
open the
all
wardrobe and a dude falls out.
after
On fire. This sounds like a wild party.
Resident 4 is a wild party.
Do you know you can pick up those eggs and throw those eggs at people?
Yeah.
You know, people were so confused. Like I watched the playthrough, like someone else's like playthrough of Resident 4, and he was like, "Why is it like? First of all, who's putting these fucking snakes in these boxes? But then also, like, when I kill a fucking snake, why is there a full chicken egg?" And I was like, "You shoot the nest out of the tree." He's like, "How the fuck did a chicken egg get up?" Because it always says chicken egg when you pick it up, but it's like chickens don't lay eggs in fucking nests. What?
Yeah. No, chicken is the object, egg is the color. Why are there snakes there too? I don't know. I don't know.
It's also freezing.
Somehow.
Yeah,
Very
everyone,
weird place.
everyone's breath is coming. Well, I think it's like the
Very
north of
air
Spain,
you breathe
or
is a poisonous fume.
it's very much not Costa del Sol, right? It's not like
Pretty clear. Yeah.
But it's
Sunny
also
Spain,
like
everyone thinks so.
if it's as freezing as what the people are saying. Oh well, I suppose maybe it's freezing to the
It's
locals, but
freezing.
not freezing to Leon, because he does last a very good long time in a t-shirt.
He's cool enough.
ooh, ice cool, baby.
Anyway, back to your original question. When the Ganados all go off to play bingo, all right, you're left to explore. That bit brings you all the way past that little swamp area, along that broken wooden bridge, and it will bring you to the house, the big house, where you first meet Lucera, and
you open the wardrobe and he falls out.
Yeah, and I think
Oh,
they'll do that.
wait, what?
He's tied up.
And end there.
Is that where that takes you? That's the mines, though, isn't it? Like the kind of
No.
mine area?
It's just before the mines.
Yeah, it's just before the mines.
Because then you get
the
knocked
end.
out, and then you're tied up together.
It's the end of chapter 1, and then it goes into chapter 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's very possible. Yeah, you might be right. Look, we'll find out this week anyway, hopefully, and then hopefully in next week's episode we'll actually be able to give our thoughts on the demo if we've all gotten around to playing it.
Looks
Super
very
exciting.
Bloody.
Very. Did you guys see any of the B-roll that was released to various media outlets who then shared it or reacted to it or whatever?
I just saw some. I think it could have been like YouTube Shorts or Instagram Stories or something like that. Of like the things coming out of the heads, like the parasites. They're massive. They're
huge.
way bigger. I don't know how I feel about them actually. I think I would have hoped that they would have maybe
Make
made
them a little bit more subtle.
more proportional. But it's almost seemed a bit crazy.
Yeah,
but it's very
they're very unrealistic, the size of these parasites.
They're a bit nuts. I have to say though, so like some of the footage, I watched all the footage because I'm a sucker for this kind of shit, and there's some really fucking cool shit. They showed off what they showed, and I won't go too much into it because people can look it up themselves if they want. So what they put together, Capcom put together like a roll of just footage, and it would randomly cut from one sequence to a later sequence, and just sent it to loads of influencers and journalists and whatever, game journalists and stuff, like Easy Allies and people like that, and Maximilian Dude got it and people like that. So the first bit is like, it looks like it's kind of after the Del Lago fight, when he wakes up and it's dark for the first time. So it looked like a bit of that, and some of the traversal and shit looked scary as fuck. It looks really dark. So I won't go into specifics of it because you can look it up yourself if you want, everyone. Then it jumps to the castle. It was like the sequence with the cannonballs that they showed in the trailer. Or not the cannonballs, sorry, the catapults. And it showed some of that stuff, and it showed like some of the zealots with the crossbows and shit. And then it even showed a bit with Salazar. You get to hear him talk and everything.
I think I might have seen that clip maybe.
Might have seen that clip in the short probably, right?
Yeah.
I think people are like clipping bits of that.
Yeah.
Then it showed that, I always get his name wrong. Is it the Garuda? Is that what he's called?
Predator.
The fucking dude with the Wolverine claws who's blind and hunts with sound.
Oh, I seen that too. I seen that clip too. That looks scary as fuck.
I am not going to be able to play this game.
Not ready for that. I actually
I will tell you how it is.
I think the regenerators are always going to be the
Mm.
The
Well, because I was
cryptid
watching
bit.
the castle footage, right? And I was going, yeah, fuck, this game is really action-packed. I was like, it looks fun as fuck. But I was like, but are they going to lose the kind of that scary direction that they've gone in Resident Evil? And then I saw that next scene and I went, no, never mind. There it is. Fuck that. That's scary. You know,
Yeah.
that'll do. But they've really cleverly reworked that fight a little bit. And
Yeah.
it's, it looks like it's way more confined than it used to be. Like it's a much tighter space. So good luck to us all. And then it finally jumped to a sequence on the island.
Okay.
Which was also really cool.
Yeah,
So I'm super
I'm
excited
delighted
for this game.
to see how much of the game is in it. Like I know, like you'd expect it, right? If they're going to do a remake of Resident Evil 4, you expect it to be, but it's just the way how long things take now, and I did expect them to have to cut this down. I really did.
Yeah.
So
I did too. I thought there was some stuff anyway that they were like, that was maybe unnecessary in the original in the first place, so let's cut it out. And I don't think they're going to cut anything out. So even like is it like Creature-ish or something like that? Do you remember that thing? Creature-ish?
Oh yeah, in the
What's it called?
the
Thing. This is called Thing.
Thing is
Thing.
the
Thing.
things
Right?
that drop, isn't it? The floors that drop.
Yeah. So I feel like I would have thought something like that would just be cut out because it always felt weird in the original game anyway.
It did. Yeah.
Now I feel like it's not cut out, but the scene might be totally reworked.
Yeah.
So as opposed to like, this didn't work kind of originally, so let's cut it. It's like, no, let's make it work the way it should have been maybe in the original. So, yeah, fuck, I can't wait. Like, I can't wait to take on the Del Lago, I have to say. I can't wait to see what that fight is like, because it won't be... Because they're not doing QTEs, they said, so...
Yeah, I know, because like the Krauser fight and everything just is so good.
Well, the Krauser fight looks like something out of Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah. I really hope they have, which I imagine they will based on my limited experience of Resident Evil 2, but the kind of the collectibles aspect, because I loved that about 4. I just loved going through and shooting all the medallions and purchasing was it called the Red 9? Was that the name of it? Was the Mauser basically?
The Mauser was called the Red
Mauser.
9. Yeah, you get the Punisher if you shoot all the blue medallions. And then
Eric, your memory of this game is incredible, man.
the Red 9's the Mauser. I think the big ass fucking Magnum was called the Lucky 7.
Yeah. And you could get, I think in the PS2 version, you could get like this weird fucking lightning gun on your arm.
The Arctron.
And
That's amazing.
infinite RPG. Like I just hope all that shit is there. I
hope you can put Ashley in a suit of armor, like.
Oh yeah, yeah. Collect.
They did say
that'll be in it, won't it? Because like that's in 2, isn't it? The cosmetics. So I would expect it to be in it. So
yeah. One change that has been confirmed: you cannot put, which I think is fair enough, and this is not something
put her in a bin.
Anyone's gonna be mad about. You can't put her in a bin.
I am furious.
And they're well, they were saying one of the reasons is it's just not respectful. Like, just put her in a dumpster. They're like, it's such we're trying to modernize Ashley's character. Like, one of the things that everyone can agree on is nobody liked Ashley's character even in the original. So they're trying to make her a likable character, so that at that point it's like the last thing we want to do is put this likable character in a bin. Like,
yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, it was
absolutely
it was so silly to make an escort mission where they've learned a lot now since from other games, if you're going to do an escort mission, at least make the person that you're escorting likable. Otherwise, you just leave them in.
I mean, they've come such a long way in terms of games doing that nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, anyway, guys, let us know your thoughts on Resident Evil 4. If you've checked out any of the B-roll footage, or maybe go check it out and then come back and tell us what you think. It looks great. The game looks amazing, and hopefully we'll all be playing it very soon and then talking about it soon after. Another game that had a lot of previews and media outlets got to go check out in the last week was Final Fantasy 16. So there's been a lot more information on this game, which is a game that's coming this summer. I don't know if any of you guys have been following that at all or checked out any of that.
Not really.
No, I haven't. Just it's not really in my radar, to be honest. Like it looked better than 15. But I don't know if I'll probably see how it ends up being rather than I'm not something I'm following.
So I'm like totally hooked on the story. I think the story is, from what they've shared, is fucking awesome. I'm not so sure about the gameplay. Like, it looks really flashy and fun, but there's an element of Final Fantasy games that I love that I thought 7 Remake nailed, which is that kind of controlling a party and strategy.
Right, the tactics of it.
Right. So they're going full. So as opposed to like 7 Remake, I would say is an RPG that has action game elements. This is an action game with RPG elements. It plays more like a Devil May Cry game. And
so would it be more
the battle designer is actually the battle designer from Devil May Cry 5. So
yeah, okay.
Would it be Stranger? Is it Stranger in Paradise or Stranger of Paradise? Stranger in Paradise, isn't it?
Stranger of Paradise, I think it was.
Stranger than Fiction.
Final Fantasy
Well,
Origin?
that was like
that?
a Soulsborne though.
Yeah, but that's
so not like that. No,
it's more
like,
action. What I mean is that because Crisis Core is obviously kind of an action RPG, but there's elements of traditional Final Fantasy elements in there. So is it closer to Final Fantasy Origin or Crisis Core in terms of? Do you think?
Oh, that's tough, isn't it? I don't know actually. So, like, from the footage that I've seen and from listening to what people who have played what they've played, like it's very Devil May Cry is the best. Is honestly the best.
So this is not a Final Fantasy game. That's what you're saying.
He said it here. Quote him. He said it. Final Fantasy 16 is not a Final Fantasy game. But actually, very interestingly, there was a whole debate that came up because Skill Up.
Yep.
The Australian dude who reviews games and stuff. If you don't know him, guys, check him out. He's great. Well, he went over to play it, and then he was really excited to meet Yoshi P, who's like the producer, who's the guy who behind Final Fantasy 14, and he's going to be the next Tetsuya Nomura. And so, like, people seem to love this guy, and I think Final Fantasy for the next few years will be pushed onto this guy and his team. Maybe depending on how 16 goes. He has very, very interesting takes on Final Fantasy as a series, where he feels like it hasn't evolved much and that it needs to. But Skill Up was asking him interesting questions about like Final Fantasy and its legacy as like a JRPG or something. And apparently now Yoshi P would like obviously talk for a while and then a translator would translate. But it did come afterwards and there was a few articles and stuff about it. This guy does not like the term JRPG.
No, I did see something like that, yeah.
Fucking hates it when a game is called a JRPG. He said, that's a term that the West gave us. He said, we make RPGs. We don't make JRPGs. Now, I don't know why anyone... This sounds like we were actually having a discussion off podcast about like bands and music. It's like, so someone puts a band in a genre and then the band are like, we're not that genre. We don't even like that genre or whatever. But so this guy feels strongly that they should just all be called RPGs. He's like saying that like, yeah, you don't call The Witcher an ARPG or something like that. It's just called an RPG.
No, it's a PRPG.
Whatever. Oh yeah, sorry. That's right. Isn't it a Polish studio, CD Projekt Red?
Yeah.
Sorry, my apologies. I mixed that
up.
Yeah,
but P stands for porno RPG, not Polish, Chris.
All right, for all the sex.
Yeah.
All of it. It contains all
of it.
So okay, well, so what are your thoughts on those like that comment? I don't know. Like, does it matter or?
Yeah, well, I suppose
does he have a point?
Yeah, there is a. Yes, there's a point because it's a bit like imagine going over to China and asking for Chinese food. It's just, you mean food? It's
right. You mean regular fucking food? Yeah, of course.
So from their perspective, they're making an RPG. But then again, do they refer to Western RPGs as just RPGs? Like, surely there's a distinction because the way they've tackled it. Like, if we're going back to the origins of the RPG, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the choose your own adventure or Dungeons and Dragons type formula, right? And it seems as though the Western studios latched onto the kind of choice based stuff, and not so much Yeah, and kind of building out your character, I guess, right? If you look at the likes of Fallout and things like that, it's all about the choice of dialogue and just being able to do whatever the hell you want. But I would say the gameplay there is not overly... It's not amazing. Most Western RPGs aren't really that great on the gameplay side of things. Whereas I think in the kind of the way the Japanese approach the RPG is more on the mechanics of an RPG.
Sure.
And they've really focused in on that, and that's how I would kind of distinguish them. Would you do the same?
I think Skill Up actually made that point himself, that when he was like, right, it's clearly a Western term,
yes,
right? And God knows when it came up, because when the first Final Fantasy came out, it certainly wasn't classed as a JRPG. It was just an RPG because there wasn't enough of games in that genre anyway to start distinguishing between types of RPGs or anything. But yeah, like the point that he made was that yes, it's a Western term, and when he thinks JRPG, it's not necessarily just that means it's a Japanese studio, but that like he expects certain things when he plays a JRPG. He expects certain types of gameplay that you wouldn't get in a Western RPG. Like the whole turn-based system was typically more of a JRPG thing. Than it was a Western RPG thing. Like things like that, where it's like you expect certain systems and a certain style, like animation styles and things like that.
Like you could say Fallout maybe tried to dabbled in that a little bit with the VATS system, a little bit, but it's clear that the JRPG, because that's part of like thinking about more tabletop approach. That's like the initiative thing, isn't it, Eric? There's actually like a turn sequence to it. And you might even see it. And like, so in Final Fantasy X, when you see up there, you can see who's coming next. Like that's the initiative. It's right there. Like it.
Yeah. So you're planning ahead.
Its mechanics is like, I think Final Fantasy would work as a board game.
I converted Final Fantasy, actually. Me, Chris, and two of our friends play it because I converted it because it works perfectly.
Whereas I don't think
you might have to put more work in to make that work for like.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Like Witcher, Fallout, and stuff. They would work. But it's a little bit more. That's way more theater of the mind approach than the JRPG aspect, which could work more like as a tabletop. You know, like the tactics of it and things like that. So yeah, I think we all know what they're talking about when they say it.
It's an interesting debate. I think maybe it was a slip of the tongue, or like on retrospect, he's probably thinking, I probably shouldn't have asked him and use that phrasing.
Yeah, it's kind of like the
you know what I mean?
Like Pagan listens to K-pop, right? And it's like, well,
which right?
Surely in Korea it's just called pop, right?
Yeah, like would you go up to them and go, hey, I love K-pop?
I'm sure they have embraced it because it's become such a definitive thing, but it's like. It's weird, I guess, because now K-pop and JRPG is associated with like you can be anything as long as you're from that country, as opposed to. Well, actually, with JRPG though, like, would you still call it a JRPG if it's that style but actually made in the US?
That's interesting.
You might actually. You might kind of go,
but you probably shouldn't.
You probably shouldn't, but it's like as if it's taken on.
Well, that would be like. I think that would be more like okay, let's say it was made in the US and it's made very stylistically and like purposefully to emulate a JRPG.
Yeah.
I would think that it would just be a Western RPG that's clearly inspired by JRPGs. You know what I mean? I do think it has to be Japanese to be a JRPG.
I think so. Maybe there needs to be a better term that just kind of takes out the regionness of it. But it's a bit like, if you have a manga, right? We know what a manga is, and that's from a particular region. But we don't really associate manga as meaning just Japanese comic, because you could be from the West and do a manga. It's now the style of it, but it's but it is from that, because if you go to Korea, it's called a manhwa, or I can't remember the name of it, but it's basically the same. It's the same thing, but it's just there's a different name to it just because it comes from Korea. But if you're in the West, like if you did an anime style cartoon, Is it an anime or is it just an animation?
Yeah, interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, because I think a prime example of that would be like Cyberpunk Edge Runners. It does have that
Yep.
anime style to it, but
Yes.
you can clearly see that's like there's that slight westernized design to it. So it is like you can clearly tell it was made in the West.
I
But
can
then
kind of
would
see
it
where
count
like
as an anime
this
or not?
producer is coming from, though, in terms of like we're making this game, like to us it's just an RPG, and maybe the frustration comes from like it's like I know that across the world, like people are kind of subcategorizing our RPGs into a different. Like I feel like the game we're making exists in the same conversation as God of War Ragnarok, and not in the best JRPG category. Like,
Yeah, like they're
just
probably
best fucking RPG full stop. Maybe
yeah,
he's
like
like maybe he's like, please don't subcategorize what we're doing.
Yeah,
Because
there
I
is
think
there
it's
is
that good.
I suppose there is a habit, I think, of people tend to look at JRPG as being a little bit below,
Like niche.
not niche, just below in quality.
well, it's like yeah, if someone says that they love RPGs and you go, oh, check out,
yeah,
such a A4G, check out this RPG made by studio in Japan or something, and you go, oh, I don't know, I don't really
but you
like
see,
their
that's
style.
why, yeah, but
Like,
that's why I think it is important to have it. There is there's clearly a difference, like
Right. But that's why, and based on the footage I saw, and I think this is where he's coming from actually. He's like, I know that there's sort of this idea of what a JRPG is.
Yeah.
Please don't call the game that I'm making right now a JRPG. Because tonally, it seems to be very far removed, right? To the point where there was one guy reviewing it, and he was like, I mean, visually, fucking stunning. The gameplay was super fun. He said the thing it's missing from what he's played so far, anyway, now maybe there's lots of it in it. Like, again, he only played an hour of the game. Is that kind of whimsical charm that Final Fantasy normally has. He said it's really dark. Everyone is super like serious. He was like, there's no like jokiness or anything. He said everyone seems super pissed and angry, and I'm like, keep selling this to me. It's like,
okay,
that sounds great.
Final Fantasy 6 and 7 then kind of.
It's supposed to be. It seems super mature. There's lots of blood. Yeah, like even like the kind of basic idea behind the story is like super political. There's going to be all these separate nations. Each nation has its own backstory. It seems really fleshed out. So like all of that stuff, I'm like, that sounds great. The only thing I think I would miss as like sort of a in and out Final Fantasy fan is because you do get a small party, but you don't control them. They're just AI controlled. So I would miss that feeling of controlling a party of people. And I also I'm not crazy about the UI. I'm wondering, maybe later we'll find out if you can like turn that off, because as you're attacking, there's all these like big numbers flashing on screen of you taking down, their health.
Right. So it is,
that's always
like,
there,
like,
but it was huge. It was like,
right.
like the numbers are massive and it's very distracting to me. But some of the like cinematic shit that's happening is nuts.
Do you think this
absolutely nuts?
Alienate Final Fantasy fans?
Yes.
So is that like a good thing? Like, why that's just,
I think this is going to be a divisive Final Fantasy game for Final Fantasy fans.
Yeah.
And a much loved Final Fantasy game for people outside of Final Fantasy fans.
Maybe, yeah. It just seems like such a huge gamble to want to really change up the formula. But then you're 16 game. Well, it's more than 16.
Yeah, I think sometimes you have to. Like, well, when you think about it,
but 7.
Like, it sounds crazy to say it now. I'm just about to say 7.
7
was
is
a huge gamble.
It is a change, like, but I don't know if anyone is. The vast majority of criticism to Final Fantasy 7 is not its gameplay.
No.
So.
No, but then there's like a huge section of, say, the Final Fantasy fan base who maybe love all the games, who tend to roll their eyes when you say the one you like the most is 7. You know what I mean? They're like, oh,
It's funny how
of course you like that one. Like that's the one everyone likes. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
but
that's
at
probably
one
the only
point,
one
not
you
no, at
played.
one point though, that wasn't the case. Okay, Jesus.
I know. Yeah,
It's just
I know.
it's funny. I like even online and stuff, in the like various different group pages or subreddits and stuff like that. Yeah, now the favorite is 9. Have you noticed that?
Oh, sure. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of people do like 9.
9 is now the favorite, but like when we were growing up, like no one fucking liked 9. Are you kidding me? Certainly not 8. But there was a point where like 8 was the best one, right? But now lately, 9 is actually the best one. So it'll get to a point now where it's like
10
yeah.
will have its day, you know.
Yeah, 10 will have its day, and of course you
Well,
like. Of course you like 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but wasn't, and there was a resurgence for 12. Do you remember when they did the Zodiac remaster?
Yeah,
Suddenly, lots
yeah.
of people were like, "No, 12 was always great," and it's like, I don't know.
Really?
I don't know.
Always?
I tried that remaster anyway, and I thought maybe I was too young back in the day. I didn't get the systems, and I just hate that game. I just can't get into it. And I know people who love it, and I just can't seem to get into it. It's the vibe, the whole vibe.
I'd
don't
play
like.
10-2 over that now, to be fair. I really would.
Well, what I'm trying to say is there's some things about 16 I'm unsure of, but I do think it's super interesting, the mix up. And from what I've seen, I am fucking stoked to play this game. I'm really excited for where they're taking it.
Much excited.
And the whole summon shit is just
That's the thing that's making me the most excited, is because
crazy.
the summons were such a cool event in 15.
Yeah,
but they were rare, and most often you got the same summon all the time. So you actually couldn't experience all of them. Like I think with the Royal Edition, I got the summon called Garuda, who actually is in 16. She's in the trailers and stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, she showed up all the time, and I could not get any other summon to show up. I couldn't get Titan or Ramu or anything because it was so random. So it's just Garuda. And I was like, I'm actually really sick. I actually want to kick this summon out of my collection. I fucking hate her. She's so annoying, but she looks great in 16. So I'm looking forward to them because they're so much more involved in the story.
Yeah,
and they look like they're again taking on that big event sort of. And
this is
great.
Current gen only, right? This isn't
well,
cross-gen?
so for a while it's a PS5 exclusive, right?
Right.
So there's a 6-month exclusivity with PS5, and they have come out and said it's like like it's a 6-month deal. That doesn't mean in 6 months' time it's coming to PC though. So there'll be another year before it comes to PC probably.
But not PS4 and Xbox One is what I mean.
No,
that's fine. Yeah, because I just think we should be getting to that point now.
Pushing forward.
Yeah, it's getting a bit ridiculous.
And I think I have a feeling this game is gonna like utilize the technology.
Cool.
You know what I mean?
Cool. Yeah.
Square Enix are quite good at that kind of thing.
Yeah. I hope there's a lot of RPG-ness to it though. You know, if they're not going to.
I feel like there will be. Well, they said you get the abilities of the summons as you collect them, right? Mm-hmm. And then you use that real time in gameplay. So say you have like Ifrit, just as an example, right? Let's say you have Ifrit kind of hotkeyed. So you are doing fire magic. And at any one time you can have up to 3 of the summons kind of hotkeyed, and you can just kind of swap between them and use sort of the magic that they give you in combat.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and then customizing those as you go along and doing their skill trees and that kind of stuff. So there will absolutely be RPG elements. It's just that it's not that kind of...
No, but I mean, from the, like, just going off and doing activities, you know, like...
Oh, I'm sure
that side
there
of
will.
it.
I'm sure there will. I'd be shocked if there wasn't.
Yeah, because even, like, 7 Remake has a few extra stuff to do, but... I'm hoping that, like, in the next part, like, when you get out into the open world, there are actually more things to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's not so linear.
I'm wondering that as well, with them working on this and knowing that there's 3 Final Fantasy VII games, right, being developed around the same time that are very RPG heavy and possibly getting more RPG heavy now as you get more of a party and you go more into the world. That they're like, well, for this one to distinguish itself and to feel like a very different experience, like, let's stay away from the sci-fi cyberpunk stuff that, like, we've been kind of doing in Final Fantasy for a while. Let's go back to medieval. Let's make it a totally like action-based game. Let's go real fucking dark. Let's
This
make
might
it really different.
Yeah, this might have been like a little.
Might have been a good move.
It might have been the project as well that was maybe put away in a vault somewhere, where now is just the right time to do this because they have something that can please traditional Final Fantasy fans, and then they can have a game that can please themselves.
Yeah. I also think one of the things I heard as well that they came out with is like one of the criticisms of Final Fantasy 15, as interesting as the world was and exploring was, there just wasn't enough story. I think, Eric, you could probably agree with that in terms of like there is story hidden there and they have lore, but they don't tell it to you very well. Supposedly Final Fantasy 16 has up to 11 hours of cutscenes. There's lots of
How does
story.
that compare to
Metal Gear Solid?
Metal Gear 4.
So that's huge.
Nice.
Yeah. Well,
Like to see it.
compared to Hideo Kojima and like Death Stranding being much longer than Metal Gear Solid, that is rookie numbers. Those 11 hours.
You got to bring those up. Let us know your thoughts anyway yourselves, guys. If anyone has checked out some of the previews for Final Fantasy 16, or in general, just like if you've been like watching the trailers and stuff, is this a game you're interested in? Do you like this direction that they're going in, or are you someone that would have preferred, maybe a lighter kind of Final Fantasy adventure with more of a party focus? Let us know your thoughts. Just before we jump into our spoiler-filled thoughts on Left Behind, one last thing I just wanted to bring up was that was it about a week ago, I think? Warner Brothers let the cat out of the fucking bag. So anyone who follows NetherRealm Studios has been curious for a while as to whether Ed Boon would reveal, are they working on Injustice 3 next or Mortal Kombat 12 next? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, most of the people would have theorized, well, it must be on Injustice 3 next because they did Mortal Kombat 11 last, and they tend to, fluctuate between the two. Mm-hmm. And a Warner Brothers like phone call from a producer that's gone out into the world talked about how they're projecting really good sales this year with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and then Mortal Kombat 12 coming later this year.
Cool.
So for anyone who didn't know, apparently Mortal Kombat 12 will be coming later this year. People are theorizing that it'll be revealed at E3 and then maybe come out in the latter half of the year, maybe like closer to December. But if that happens, that's fucking nuts. Because Street Fighter, Tekken, and Mortal Kombat would all have their games out in the 1 year. What if that would be that's like, so the horror game space is like huge, and then that would be like the three big titans of fighting games all out in the 1 year. That would be nuts.
Wait,
for people who are into fighting games, like,
isn't there's at least one Silent Hill game coming out this year, isn't there?
I think they're aiming to have the Silent Hill 2 remake out this year, but if not, I think Alan Wake 2 is this year. Dead Space remake was this year. Resident Evil 4 is this year.
Yeah. Right, so that's three big horror games. Fuck. Mortal Kombat, I have a prediction now. Mortal Kombat 12, they're going to have some trailer going to be like, yeah, okay, fair enough. And they're going to release that story trailer and it's going to be bitching and I'm going to buy it. And then they're like, why did I buy this? Not just wait till it's like on sale or something.
Yeah. All right, just before we jump into Left Behind, is there anything that you guys look at? This is still kind of like, honestly, I saw the video where the guy said it, so it's not rumored, but anything could get delayed. Nothing is announced until it's really announced. But if Mortal Kombat 12 does come out this year, is there anything you guys would like to see from Mortal Kombat 12? That might mean more to Eric than it does to Adam. I know, Adam, you've kind of jumped out of the Mortal Kombat series kind of a long time ago.
Fighting game series a long time ago.
Yeah, but is there something they could do that would make you go, oh, fuck, actually, you know what? That would interest me to actually pick it up.
Conquest. Return of Conquest.
I think there's going to be a Conquest mode.
That would be good. That would be good.
That's what I think. Someone asked Ed Boon in an interview, and it's since Mortal Kombat 11 came out. Someone asked him in an interview, like, would you ever do a remake of Mortal Kombat Deception? So obviously it was someone who's like a fan of that game. And he was like, no, we're not going to do a remake of Mortal Kombat Deception. He went,
why not?
The Conquest, but then he went, the Conquest mode, though, that could come back. and he seemed interested in that. So I think there's going to be because I think they've done that style of storytelling to a point that's like a little bit to death now, and I think if they do that again, it'll just feel. I think they need to do something to freshen it up. And, is it this year? Is the 30th anniversary of Mortal Kombat? Or was that last year?
Oh, I couldn't tell you that now.
Don't know.
I can't remember. No, it can't be this year. Mortal Kombat's older than that.
Is
30?
it?
No, it's Mortal Kombat's older than that. Way older than that. What am I saying? 30 years.
Is it though?
Mortal Kombat's older than me. Yeah.
Yeah, you're young though.
I'm 30 this year. That's why I'm wondering. Is Mortal Kombat as old as me? 1993?
Let's find out.
Right, check it out.
Right. You check it out. Me and Chris was talking about Mortal Kombat 12. Oh.
That's what I would have guessed. 92.
Yeah, so it was last year. Last year was the 30.
Last year. Okay, right.
30 years. So they've been working on it, I would say.
Yeah.
So Conquest mode, that would be pretty cool to bring that back.
Yep.
But for me,
I
think a big thing would be bringing back the kind of 3D environments that Deception and Deadly Alliance
definitely.
had.
Yeah, I agree.
The 3D environment, so you're not just fucking. Because that way, even if they went for that chapter mode, it's like you fight someone and then the other person comes out to fight you, and then you just so happen to be in the same fucking spot on the same map, and everything has been reset and stuff. And it's just like, okay, but if you made this 3D, you could actually make the people start in a different place. I think traversal.
Add more dimensions to the fight.
Add more dimensions to the fight. The thing of like picking up a weapon and start using that was in Deception. Stances would be cool. Bringing back stances.
Honestly, just bring back the gameplay of Deception.
They should remake Deception, but with newer characters added to that roster. Almost like a Tekken Tag tournament approach, but you just add in a bunch of fucking. Armageddon was kind of that, wasn't it? But
kind of. Yeah.
No, we want Deception though. We want Deception.
I want the gameplay of Deception, but yes, with a better cast. That was the downfall of Deception. Like a lot of people shit on Deception. They forget how good the actual gameplay was because they're just thinking there was fuck all people I actually wanted to play as.
Yeah. So I think continue the story so you have those characters from that story.
Yes. Your Liu Kang, your Raiden, all those people.
But do Deception. Kronika has now been defeated. Shang Tsung's been defeated.
Yeah, Onaga.
Onaga's coming back.
Yeah, hell yeah.
The Deadly Alliance has been defeated.
And I want to see fucking chess combat.
Yes, that was so good.
I love chess combat.
I couldn't care for that. So, fuck that.
Let us know, guys. What do you think? What would you like to see in a Mortal Kombat 12 if it really is coming? Do you think it'll come out this year? Maybe it'll get pushed out to next year. Who knows? But let us know your thoughts. And for optional characters, maybe they'll add Joel or Ellie just to high five them back, which will segue us onto talking about The Last of Us Episode 7 Left Behind. So spoilers for The Last of Us Episode 7 Left Behind in case you haven't seen it. If you just wanted to listen to everything we've talked about so far and you want to duck out at this point, thank you for listening and make sure to jump down in the comments, share your thoughts if you're on YouTube, or touch base on social media if you're listening to us on audio platforms. But for those of you who have seen Episode 7 of Left Behind, then welcome to the discussion. So I just thought that was a good segue because they played Mortal Kombat in Left Behind in the arcade. I was like, oh, I wonder what kind of
if they were to introduce
deal they struck up here.
Characters there, like would you want Joel and Ellie, or what characters would you want in Mortal Kombat? Do you think it's
Bloater?
The Bloater. Because
Definitely.
he's already got a fatality.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, and he could throw spores and stuff. So there's actually a lot he could do gameplay wise.
Yeah,
and he'd just be a tough fucking brute. So yeah, the Bloater.
Yeah,
Bloater would be class. Yeah.
That would be a kind of a cool little crossover. Like, they've done that for a while, so like that one would fit right in. Actually,
I mean, he'd be the equivalent of like I think it was in Final Fantasy 10. In Mortal Kombat 10, they had like Jason Voorhees, Predator, and Alien.
Yeah, so they were going for like 80s horror icons.
Terminator.
Terminator was in 11.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Freddy Krueger was in 9. Mortal Kombat 9.
Yeah. They've done a lot of movie ones. I think it would be cool, and then we'll get off Mortal Kombat then. I think it would be cool this time around. Not only to do like the Bloater as like a Last of Us, we get you back. That was kind of a cool little. But then to do other like video game characters. So get away from the movies for a bit.
All right, still on Mortal Kombat. Call back to Mortal Kombat 9 because they had young Kratos. Now you got old Kratos.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, he'd
Fuck
work.
yeah.
He
With
would.
the Leviathan axe in
Yeah.
gameplay. So, oh, fuck yeah. That'd be great. Okay. But what did we think of this episode of The Last of Us?
I think it'd be really good in Mortal Kombat. I really faithful to the DLC, which is very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Really faithful. Even kept the same masks. That was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much so.
It's not. I mean, it was always going to be a filler episode.
I wouldn't have told it in this chunk the way that they did. I would have, and I said the same thing with episode 3. So again, I think this is a well performed episode. I think the actors are really, really good. I think there's loads of really, really great moments throughout. I didn't dislike the episode, but again, this is a case of like, if you could binge the show, I would have jumped straight onto the next episode now. Like, I wouldn't have just gone to bed after that and felt satisfied. You know what I mean? Like, I would have went, I was like, oh, that was really cool. Yeah. Next one. I would have told this in the form of a sequence of flashbacks, the Ellie and Riley story, while Ellie is out trying to get stuff to look after Joel, and she meets David. But for the duration of this episode, David is our friend until the end of the episode. That is what I would have done. Because I feel like putting all of that and then all the action and all that, I feel like the next episode is going to rush. One of my favorite sequences of the game. So that's kind of where I'm coming from in terms of like just a game fan.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like David should have been in 2 episodes, not 1.
Yeah, he's a very iconic character within the first game.
Yeah,
he does leave,
sort of like
impression.
Even though he's not in a lot of the game, people remember him as sort of the villain of the game.
Yeah.
You know, so
no. Joel's the villain of the game, Chris. Joel's the villain. He was always
stop it. You stop it. I don't buy that bullshit. That's a debate for another day.
I would not.
You disagree
with
me yet?
Showing Joel at all in the episode. I would have started with the rabbit coming out of its burrow, the arrow going into the rabbit, her there getting it, and then having the flashback. I don't mind it being told in the full section.
Okay.
I don't mind it that much. But yeah, I think then end it with the, she's like, she's at the horse, she looks at something, she gets reminded, she looks back to the horse to get it ready, and then hears someone behind her, she takes out the rifle, and there's David standing there. And that's how the episode ends at that point.
You would have ended it there? You wouldn't have had like David actually spend time with her?
End it there. Because you're ending it there, and the start of the next episode can be David. Is that section? But you obviously make that smaller and tighter. But so it's a big explosive start to episode 8 then.
Because I would have ended it with Ellie getting chloroformed.
Oh yeah. Well, she doesn't get chloroform. She just chokehold.
Or whatever you want to do.
Doesn't matter.
Just
chloroform.
Yeah. Like, as in, what?
What the fuck, Chris?
No, don't make it fucking weird. I'm going, guys. That is not right. For anyone who's just watching the show, that might sound like I have like weird thoughts of where I want the show to go. That's purely based on playing the game and knowing where Ellie's journey goes. So, fuck off. That doesn't sound right. I don't like that. I couldn't remember. I thought someone comes behind her and like knocks her out.
She's about to get out, and David comes and chokeholds her and knocks her out.
Okay, but that's way more violent than what I just said.
Wow.
It's a full effect.
On.
Like it's
he's a nasty guy.
He is an awful man.
I think
you haven't shared any of your thoughts.
You should just have a big, huge brute just like Lev punch her in the face. That was Lev, wasn't it? Was that Lev?
What?
Remember the second one where it's like a big dude just comes along and just like knocks one of them out? Was that Lev that they knock out? And it hits like the garage door?
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember.
It's absolutely brutal. Just dunk. Wow.
Oh wait, that's when they're in Santa.
Yeah.
It is a big brute chap.
Yeah, he just knocks Lev out.
Haymakes her, yeah.
That's unnecessary.
Him.
It's like you could just look at Lev and be like, I mean, I don't need to hit you that hard. Like, that's like poor
Realize my
Lev
own
hasn't probably
strength.
eaten in a while and stuff, and like this guy's huge. But yeah, okay. Adam, what did you think of the episode?
I really liked the episode. This is my favorite Ellie so far in the show.
Oh, she's great.
She's absolutely incredible, and I think like this is like I see Ellie. There's Ellie, and it's kind of unfortunate because like the show touches on a lot of like or this episode touches on a lot of the joyful moments that Ellie has, but she actually has a lot of those moments throughout the game, and even
Joel.
With Joel, and a lot of the music that's used in this, like I think it's my favorite use of the soundtrack is in this episode. It's very good because it just brought me back in time to some of the nice moments, like the giraffe and all that kind of stuff. Is all there in this episode essentially. Riley is also incredible. Really great performance from both actors in this. I think that I don't know if we needed every beat in the mall.
That's why that's why I would have segmented it. So like you jump back to the present, then flash to when they get to the next wonder. I don't think you need all the walking in between.
No,
it's unnecessary.
It's weird that it's interesting to see the parts that they think or feel are vital to telling the story and the parts that they want to cut out. It's really interesting because
it is.
They cut out huge chunks of traveling, I guess, from the series, but we'll have us just watch them walk around a mall for a while.
And hopping on buildings and things, and
this is definitely the slowest paced episode out of all of them, and I would totally fine with this episode and episode 3 if this was 2 seasons. It all comes down to that fucking problem, man.
One longer season.
No, it's fine to have 2 seasons.
I thought we clarified we want one longer season, not 2 seasons.
2 seasons. This should have ended at the end of Henry and Sam.
I don't know. Anyway, what we're saying, we would like more episodes of the one game in whatever capacity. Then basically, we all agree with that.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Look at this point.
Yeah, it's lingering too much.
Yeah, we've said that there's nothing that's going to fix that now. There's 2 episodes left to tell the rest of the story. So clearly, on the next episode, we're going to say the same thing, which is, I just wish they had more episodes. It's like that's just the way this is going to be now because we just feel that way. They haven't given just enough time to flesh out because everything they're doing, well, most of what they're doing, not everything, but most of what they're doing is really fucking great. But I have to agree. I think Bella is excellent in this episode. Like so good. Did any of us catch one of my favorite scenes in this episode was when they're on the carousel? Did any of us catch what that song was that was playing? It's a very like music boxy version of a song, and I was like, and I kept getting a little bit louder, and I was like, I fucking know that melody. And then when I realized what it was, I was like, that is gorgeous. But I don't think it's in the game at all.
Cool.
Take on me.
What's the song?
No, so yeah, Take On Me was on the escalators. It was Just Like Heaven by The Cure.
Oh, right, cool.
And as soon as I realized, I was like, that is brilliant. Not only because just like it's not in your face at all, but when you realize what it is and just what's going on, and Ellie is falling in love here, basically. It's like it's beautiful. But then my other favorite moment of the whole episode is actually just because I think it's done so well, is when she realizes she's been bitten.
That's like,
and that Riley has
very, very bang on nearly with the. It's not actually, well, it's a little bit different than the game, but it's enough to be like they've managed to capture the essence of the game, and they did their performances were just so good at it.
But it's just it's 2 very different ways of processing essentially grief. Yeah, which is like, one is just that sorrowful acceptance of I'm in shock and there's nothing I can do about it, and the other one is the like fuck, why did this have to happen to me kind of thing. Just that pure panic and anger. And I just think it was great. And then having them both sit down together and process what do we do next.
Yeah.
You know, really strong. I kind of wish there was a little bit more infected in them all, though. I think the
Yes.
one wasn't
Right.
enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
the bit I did not like.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Apart from the length of this episode, I like how much of it is spent in the Left Behind flashback. I do think that needs to be shorter, as mentioned. Whether that's true of flashback sequence or whether it's, I don't know, half the episode is that. I don't know. But it definitely needed to quicken the fuck up. The bit I didn't like is we were introduced to fucking hive mind infected things back in episode 2, wasn't it?
I fucking told you that was never going to come up again. I fucking...
It's just a waste of an idea. It's just
Absolutely.
it's an unnecessary idea. Completely
From now looking
stupid.
at this thing that's almost finished, episode 2 is my least favorite episode.
Okay, so far, okay.
Because it has that hive mind thing that's just not playing off at all. They've just completely ignored it. And I think
I'm with you. Because I can't even think of any really, like, apart from how cool the clickers were, I can't think of like an incredible acting moment from episode 2. Because even Joel and Ellie were a little bit distant at that point. No one was really like...
Yeah. I don't know if it's
in every other episode I can think of like at least a moment where I was like, oh, that was...
But I think there was just... It wasn't thought out as well as a lot of the other episodes. They didn't...
Maybe.
It just has a lot more... I was able to rant about the episode for far too long, about the 2 stupid decisions that they made now. So that's why it's my least favorite
it obviously
episode.
bothered you the most, yeah.
Yeah, because all the rest are fine. Like, because you have the... Like, when it comes to being accurate to the game, if you're rating it that way, episode 3 would be the worst. Because it's not accurate to the game at all. But it's really well told, and really well acted, and really well written, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
so really
it is, but there's...
But like, obviously there was changes. Yeah. There was problems with it in the idea of the story of Joel and Ellie.
Well, it's not just that. It's and it's my issue with this episode as well, and fucking most of the episodes actually.
Sure.
The previous episode, which was my least favorite one.
All right. Okay.
There's a serious lack of infected in this show. There's like, they're not even really that much of a threat, really, in the existence of these people. Because, like, right, so the thing I didn't like was that we see the dude is, like, part of the wall. Which is kind of alluding to him becoming one with the hive mind, I guess. And they're having fun. And then he wakes up. We're now spending the rest of the episode in anticipation of him showing up, or
and it's only one.
Him alerting more to come. Whereas in the game, you're so caught up in, because the game flashes between the Ellie surviving against hunters, and then you in the mall with Riley. It's like you don't really necessarily expect any danger when you're with Riley, because that's taking you away from the danger that you're currently experiencing. So when the infected just appear as they were dancing in the game, it's just sprung on you, and it's like you're just as shocked as they are. Whereas in the show, it's like you're waiting, and it actually drags for a bit. You're like, Jesus, I wonder what happened to... Did he go back to sleep?
I at one point was like, Jesus, what? Like, the guy was only around the fucking corner. Like, what's he doing? Like, Jesus, fucking hurry up.
I agree with that criticism, in that I don't think this show, for everything it's doing really well, I don't think there's enough infected in it. Specifically, when the show started, there was such an emphasis on the infected. Like, there was what I still think was a great intro, like describing just how fucked everyone would be if this thing actually happened. Then the next episode also had a prologue of, we are fucked because this thing has happened. The outbreak day was so panicky and incredible in terms of like an outbreak. And then even the second episode, they were dealing with just 2 clickers, but they were making a big deal out of it. Like, we're fucked, basically. We need to be careful here. And, apart from that bit in episode 5 when they burst out of the ground, there hasn't been a lot of moments of like just going into dark areas and realizing there's infected everyone, going like, shit, like we got to be really careful about how we're going to get through here and that kind of thing. And I do think that this would have helped it a little bit if there was just more infected in the mall.
I think there needed to be at least 3.
Like, yeah,
for this moment.
So yeah, I think
Not
more
just
more infected in the mall. If they had the infected in Billstown in episode 3, I think it would have been fine.
Yeah. That would be like, because again, like it's not like they have to be there all the time. Like, so not being in the last episode, for example, is totally fine.
Not being in episode 4 is fine.
And being fine, you know, yeah.
And I think as well, really, again, not enough like dangerous normal people.
Yeah, I think they did it. Yeah, they did it was a bit of an issue humanizing, I think, the resistance members in Pittsburgh. Was it Pittsburgh?
Yeah, well,
no,
they changed it to Kansas.
Oh, Kansas, okay.
In the game, it's not Kansas, though.
It's Pittsburgh in the game. Yeah, so they should have just had them to be the barbaric hunters that they were, because they were pushed to that point of having to be brutal to survive against Fedra. And then realized...
Yeah, I'm wondering, are they going to take the opportunity to... I don't want to theorize too much, because again, by the time this episode's out, we'll have seen the next episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm wondering, are they going to try and attempt to humanize David?
I'm worried about this, yeah.
I hope not, because it's okay to have in this world, like in the real world, there are shit people. So in this world, there would definitely be shit people.
Yeah.
And I always just saw David as just a fucking shit person.
He's
as far as he's concerned, is like, no, this is like fine the way I'm living my life.
Like, he's bigger than just a shit, like, because it's not just that
he's twisted.
Because it's like he's been forced to be a cannibal now, and everyone else with him is a cannibal.
Spoilers for the next episode.
Yeah,
not just this one.
Okay. Yeah, spoilers all around.
But then they might change that. He might not be that.
We don't know.
We have no idea.
I suppose we'll know.
We're theorizing. I'm only going off the game. You know what I mean?
I know. I hope he's that. I'll be really pissed if he's not, though. Actually, I'd be really fucking pissed if
they don't. If they don't do him to the way he is in the game, yeah, it'd be really fucking annoying, because it just, you're not getting that character then.
Yeah, I'm wondering then, are they going to
give us a bad guy?
So now that we've done the Left Behind thing, which was, yeah, the performance of it was great, pacing's way off,
sure.
Music was incredible, not enough infected. The
Yep.
other issue with it is that not once, I don't think, even if you've never played the game, I don't believe for a second you believe Joel is dead from that injury.
Not at all.
Whereas in the game, you're really not sure. You're not sure until you see her go back to him.
Well, yeah, but that's why, again, I think that they shouldn't have had Joel in this episode at all.
Yeah, no,
they needed to make his injury more compelling in the previous episode.
Yeah.
Like falling on a giant metal pole.
Like, so they needed more hunters, not just like the 4 dudes.
Yeah, just 4 chaps to show up. That aspect, like, the show is so high budget and like in some aspects so incredible, but there's some moments that sometimes
it's like a CW.
Yeah. Like having just like 4 dudes rock up and he gets into a little scuffle with one and then gets like mortally wounded and then leaves is sort of like a low budget TV kind of moment in this massive budget show. That feels a little bit off or a little bit weird, like out of place.
It could
feel like
be.
They could achieve the bigger thing if they went for it.
Could be because of COVID. Maybe that's why there was only one infected.
I think COVID is definitely after affecting this shoot.
Yeah, but I'm wondering as well
when I'm watching it.
I'm wondering it because one of the complaints we had with episode 2 was, well, actually, I don't think you had that complaint really. I would have preferred if that was Fedra rather than the infected, and I think you weren't so sure on that. But I'm wondering if they made that change because there was going to, based on what they had written, there was a serious lack of infected. I'm wondering if they decided that was a moment to do them. But they hyped them up. They really hyped them up in that episode with how dangerous they're going to be because of the Vine-ish connection they have. And it just hasn't played off at all. It just really hasn't. And with the end of the David sequence, based on the track record now of the episodes, I don't think we're going to get... I don't know if they're going to get interrupted by infected. I don't think there's going to be a single infected in the next episode.
I actually wouldn't put infected now in the next episode.
Right.
Because I don't think there's enough
so
time.
That leaves you with
However,
one more.
Yes.
So are there going to be any?
I would go all out with that final sewer.
The tunnel thing?
The tunnel.
Tunnel of Death?
I think you need to have fuckload of infected in there, right?
But then how do you...
I hope they do this, right? We'll see. And Ellie needs to nearly drown. You need to do that. Because
you
mentioned earlier about the not being able to swim thing, and they have yet to do any of those water sequences. They haven't done any. I think because then they lift her out of that and she's unconscious and then goes to the hospital, right? Sorry again. Spoilers, guys. That's if they do this. We don't know. So I think they need to go all out with that tunnel sequence. I think that needs to be your last.
So
stretch.
The problem what they have, I think, in terms of the writing and the pacing of this show and the limited number of episodes, is that one of those sequences is not going to get what I think they deserve. Right? It's either they're not going to have any infected or a limited number of them. That's not going to be. We're just not going to get that, like what you just said.
Right.
Or we are going to get that, and we're not. It's going to rush through
the ending.
The end of it, which I actually think is... That's such an important part of it. That almost... Spring should be 2 episodes nearly. You know?
Look, we've already established we need more episodes.
I know.
We're beating a dead horse here. Shimmer! I as well. Well, look, we'll know in the next couple of weeks. But I would, with the hospital sequence, I would do one long take, something akin to. Do you remember in Stranger Things episode 4 when they're in the house?
Yeah.
I would have Joel going around and I would do one long take in the lead up to that kind of final moment.
Absolutely, yeah. That and
I think that would fucking nail that moment. But we'll see. We'll fucking see. Any other thoughts on this episode before we finish up for this week?
I actually liked the conversation Ellie had with the captain chap in the...
Yep.
I liked that. I liked that conversation. I liked him justifying what Fedra does and everything. That again, it's that moment where it's like you're humanizing them. When you had a whole show saying that they were awful, then you have this guy going like, look, like we are the best thing for you. We're not the best, but you can be the best because you know what the problem is. Which I think is a nice...
I thought those conversations that happened throughout, and both Ellie and Riley's perspectives on Fedra and the Fireflies, that kind of political stuff that's happening too, is actually really good. And I didn't think any of it overstayed its welcome in this particular episode.
No.
It's not like they went on and on about it, but I thought there was enough there for people to actually be like, yeah, like I don't know who's right. Maybe everyone's wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it's more complicated than just, which is life. Life is complicated. It's not.
Out
it's not
of
just
the
one evil overlord
in the episode, if we were going to make the decision that this needed to have been cut down.
Oh yeah, okay.
Which of the, I would say, stations, because you can imagine that you're walking to it and you have to press triangle or something to interact with the birthday gift or whatever the gift was, that the surprise gift. Which of them would you have removed?
Probably the whole thing with the bombs.
Yeah, okay.
I thought while that added like a little like, I just didn't think there was a need for Ellie to get mad, storm off, come back, and for it all to happen. I think it would have been perfectly fine and still like, oh fuck, like this is so horrible that this happened. If like everything was going swimmingly and they just had the best night ever and then got attacked by infected.
Yeah.
And had she just stayed at home, none of this would have happened.
Yeah, that unnecessarily prolongs the thing.
So they didn't need that, like, because I think there was an element of, if I hadn't have gone back, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But actually, I'm like, why kill the mood at all? They were going so well. They were leading up to that kiss. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think there was a need for that bomb. Like, Fireflies are planning on bombing, and I'm the one with the bombs. I think that was unnecessary.
Yeah, now that you say it, actually, yeah, it is very unnecessary. Um, the lingerie talk.
The which?
When they're in
Oh,
front
like
of
okay.
when they're in front of the lingerie
Oh
shop.
yes, that was unnecessary and a little weird actually.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not weird from my perspective, right? It's not weird that they're having that conversation. It's just weird for me to think that some grown dude wrote that dialogue for them.
Yeah.
Sure.
That,
Yeah, yeah.
it just seems a bit
Now the
weird.
actors aren't the age of their characters.
No,
Like,
they're not. They're not. But
right?
it's still
Like,
just.
they're adults, but I know I
It's
understand.
like
what
you,
you're saying.
but
that's not in
you
the game. You purposely wrote
Yeah, that's
that in.
added in. I know.
That's
Yeah,
a bit
that is
weird.
added in.
like they could have actually put the when you're in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
And there's an optional conversation in Pittsburgh where Ellie asks Joel. Ellie says to Joel, "I thought you had a lot of food in your
Oh
time."
yeah.
And Joel goes, "Yeah, just some people didn't choose to eat." It's like, "Oh, well, that's stupid." They could have had that picture on the wall
Oh yeah.
as a billboard thing,
Right. Yeah.
and then them kind of going, "I thought they had a lot of food in their time." It's like, oh, maybe some people were just stupid and didn't eat it, or something like that. And it's
Sure,
just
okay.
a passing comment to the character.
Well, I don't think that's the right area for it. That it's always nice that comes from Joel. I think those type of
yes,
like
The
what was it?
old
What was it
world
like?
stuff.
What was it like?
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
But either way, I just thought that
You
bit
would have
was
left
like,
out that sequence.
Yeah, those two I think
Yeah.
are valid cut downs.
You would have cut something else at him. Do you think?
I would have actually cut out the Mortal Kombat machine.
Yeah,
The-
like
the
I didn't.
arcade.
Again,
That because
I wouldn't argue with that either.
Yeah, like
is that not in reference to Angel Knives though?
right.
When they
think
play
it
that,
is.
It is, but it's like the Angel Knives thing is a cool reference, like a kind of a Easter egg to one of Neil's original scripts. That's like an OG story he wrote but never became a game. So
Right.
this was like a nod to that, and that works in the game because you're interacting with it, and that's about it. Here it doesn't really do anything other than call back to earlier when she sees a Mortal Kombat machine with Joel. She kind of makes a comment
Yeah,
about
that's
it.
true. Yeah.
But that wasn't necessary either. Like that, neither of them. That doesn't. I don't think that adds anything to the current story.
I wonder would they have gotten like most of what they were going for across anyway, but still save time had they. And maybe it's cheesy, but during like the Take On Me bit, if they just montaged all that, like them having lots of fun. in the
Even
mall.
Rocky had a montage.
Yeah, even Rocky had a montage. Like, but I know it's like maybe it's cliche, but honestly, wouldn't it just get to the point of like they're having a great time, and I'm having a great time too, watching them do it to a song that is good time.
which also that was a thing. Montages were often used back in the 80s, weren't they?
Yeah.
Well, and if the song came out in the 80s, then it actually perfectly works with the idea of
Now again, I recognize it is cliche to do that. It is like, oh,
yes,
the two girls go to the mall, and then there's a montage of them having fun in the mall.
Mm.
I get it, but there's a lot of stopping, starting in the episode, and I wonder would it fix the pacing just a little bit and give us a little bit more time to maybe tell some of the present story too. Last thing, and we don't get political, right? I'm not looking to get political, but I just think maybe it would be interesting to discuss this for a moment. So there was a lot of countries censored the kiss, right?
Really?
A lot of countries censored the fucking kiss. So
Was episode 3 censored?
I know, yeah, probably. Whatever your fucking like stance is, right? Whatever. It's just weird to me that even if you're like you have an issue with something like that, which I don't know why you would, but if you do, and you decide to censor that, like, do they also censor all the killing, or do they not have issues with people killing each other? like, like even if you don't like something, what's wrong with showing it? You know what I mean? I just don't get that. I don't really get if it's like it's fantasy, it's not real. It's a weird thing to go out of your way to censor that, I think, but
Yeah.
not censor killing, which everyone's like, I would imagine most people can go killing. We don't like killing, but
Yeah,
this
well,
is make believe.
I mean, I have always had that argument with Game of Thrones and Spartacus and Rome
Sure.
and so on.
If people were ever like
so many
disgusted
people
with the
were
sex
really
scenes.
disgusted with the eroticism of the shows, which they were eroticas, like no doubt.
Yeah.
They were, but
Yeah.
the violence was also very extreme, especially in Spartacus. Like it's over the top. It's like comic book level. It's not even. It's nowhere. It's not real. Like it really isn't real.
Yeah.
But it's like if the whole point is like if you glorify the one, why can't you glorify the other? It's just interesting what people get disgusted by. They're disgusted by love but not hate. It's odd.
Weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you have put into words a lot better what I was trying to articulate. So I just think that is such a weird, like, because that made headlines, and then as a result,
wasn't it like
I would
just
think
like a peck? Even it wasn't even like a. Was it?
No, but like
my memory started.
like, but who cares,
Yeah.
And also, surely then, if you were in a country where that was censored, and you heard there was a scene censored in The Last of Us, which is already a really shocking show, you would go well out of your way to fucking
Yeah,
find out
alright,
what
check
that was.
that
Right?
is.
Yeah, holy shit, what is it? I want to check that out. So, like, don't make a big deal of it. Just let it, like, it's a normal thing. It's just don't make a big deal of it. So, anyway, that's all. I just thought I just thought it was so weird. I was like, why would you go out of your way to do that? With everything else that goes on in the fucking show, like. Anyway,
such a Fedra thing to do.
Yeah, fuck you, Fedra. Anyway, those are our thoughts on The Last of Us Episode 7, Left Behind. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What did you think of this episode? Maybe some people, maybe it was your absolute favorite, or maybe you thought it was a little bit slow. What would you have done differently? If you're someone who's played the game, how would you have rewritten this episode if you would have? Let us know all your thoughts. And are you enjoying the show so far anyway? Jump down in the comments if you watch this YouTube, share all your thoughts, and if you enjoyed this discussion, why not give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring that notification bell for all our future episodes, including our spoiler take on the last 2 episodes of The Last of Us Season 1. And to those of you who are listeners on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take, again, to give your take on The Last of Us or on everything else that we brought up in this week's episode. Thank you so much for listening, everybody, and we'll be back to talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Dude.